Chrysler products for people who've never heard the term Mopar before, and also a member of Alviso Roadsters, the folks who actually started up doing this show and everything along with Dee of the Chamber of Commerce here in Austin. And the Alviso Roadsters is fairly loosely knit, mostly traditional style older cars, and we have a big event we do here in August just before we go to Bonneville. We put on what we just call the party. We have the party here in Austin, anywhere from 50 to 100 pre-war cars, some pretty interesting people, some guys who've been in the hot rod and drag race business and salt flat business for a long time show up. We just have a get together and sit around and tell stories and everything. Have a steak dinner that night, cooked outside right up behind us on the hill. And then Friday morning of that week, we all get up, go down, take pictures in front of the old Ford garage with all the cars, and head out for Bonneville on Highway 50. Have a good time with that. This show got started as fallout to that, so to raise a little money for Austin. They've used the money for various things over the years, to put some money in the town's 38 Ford fire truck for display and restoration. They've used some of the money for a scoreboard for the high school, and restoration of a piano, and I'm trying to remember the lady's name. It was a fairly famous Nevadan, but we're dealing with old age, so. But those are some of the things the funding has gone to. The show is interesting in that most of you don't wind up in Austin by accident. You're here on purpose and want to be in Austin. And we've had weather at the show from, gosh, what a beautiful day, to, you think it's going to quit snowing? Okay, my wife and I attend a lot of shows throughout northern Nevada and in California, and drag race events and everything else. But when you come to Austin, you get, one, it's about the first show in northern Nevada of the year, so you always gamble on the weather. There's always people here because they want to be here. You know, you're not here by accident. You're here to have a good time, meet new friends, see old friends, guys you haven't seen for years or guys you saw yesterday. But an interesting variety of cars show up to it. Everything from pre-war classics to hot rod trucks and really nice home done trucks, and a good time. And you know, we've been doing it for 6 years, plan on doing it for quite a while to go yet.
About 10 years ago, we tried to do a car show during Gridley Days, and it really didn't work out. And then a gentleman named Jerry Foreman bought a house here in Austin, and he's with the Alviso Roadsters. And they really love Austin, and the group started coming up here and doing barbecues in August on their way to Wendover to do their salt flat races. And the guys are like, wow, this is like so cool. So they come up with the idea that we should do the car show. And so it just kind of went from there, and with the help of the Alvisos, it's turned into a pretty successful event. We just had some Chinese people here, and they were amazed. They had, yeah.
So it's on your website or whatever. People from Australia or whatever come to the United States and go, wow, that is very cool.
We're probably the smallest town on Highway 50, and we're centrally located right in the center of the state. And you know, we don't have as many services as we'd like. But when we do these kind of events, it really brings in a lot of people. It brings people clear from California. We have people from Cupertino, California, and other areas that come out here specifically just to do the car show. So even though we only do a one-day event, they're here for 2 or 3 days, and it really helps the economy of the community. And because tourism is one of our main bases here in Austin, and being on Highway 50, that helps bring people throughout the rest of it because we are so centrally located. The nice thing about Austin is it's pretty much authentic as a mining community. So when people come in and they want the flavor of the Old West in the mining communities and that kind of stuff, when they come through towns like Austin and Eureka, they look at these towns and they go, wow, this must have been what it was like back in the 1800s. You know, we don't have all these fancy modern buildings and motels and all that. It's still just hometown flavor, which is really hard to find. And we always invite everybody to come visit Austin because, you know, what happens in Austin, people brag about.
Great.
Okay. So whether you're just down the street or if you're clear over on the other side of the world, we always love visitors. Come and visit us.
Well, it's a neat little town. We have a show before Bonneville every year and have a bunch of people up on the way. And so everybody kind of want to do a little show here and do something for town. And so that's why we have it downtown and have it right here, you know, in between the vendors, and everybody can kind of be a part of it. And it's worked out pretty well with the kids groups and 4-H, and all of them has had a chance to do bake sales, and kind of worked out well for everybody. Yeah, I was kind of born and raised into it. So old race cars and cars, have been around them all my life. And I think everybody likes this so well. It's the town itself. It's the setting that makes it. Long ways to come for most everybody, but we always have a great turnout, and I think everybody just likes to be here for the day. It certainly is. Everybody has really jumped in to make it all work. You know, it is several families here that have hopped in and done registration and awards and judging, and you know, it is a family affair. I've been here, my kids were young when I bought a house here, and it was a whole different world, and it's just turned out for a great place for them to. It was just a total opposite of where they grew up, you know, and so they got to know all the kids here, and when they were little, we'd have a house full of kids the whole time we were here. You know, everybody'd be there, and yeah, they have great memories of this place. They're all a little older now, but there's a youth center here that's normally open, and the kids, you know, it's all geared for the kids with games and pool tables, and there's a park and a pool in the summertime if the weather's right, and there's a lot of history here, you know, old stuff to look at, and kids have able to be kids down here, like kind of like the old days. So it's a great show, and it's you know, big variation of cars. You got everything from, you know, muscle cars to traditional cars and trucks, and there's just a little bit of something for everybody here, and it's very affordable. We keep the price down on it, according to, you know, compared to most shows, and the whole thing goes to town. It's all a fundraiser for town. Every penny goes back to the town, and each year we trade it off. No matter kind of where you're at in town, it affects you. We've done it to the Historical Society and to the school, and I believe this year it's all going to 4-H, and so it affects the town, no matter whereabouts you are in the town. So.
Okay, so here we are at Austin's annual car show, which we've had better weather this year than we did last, and every year we have some really cool cars, and we always do a lot of fun stuff, but I think the best part every year is the cow in the can. And of course, with the cow in the can, when you put it on there, you can't touch it until it's ready. But guess what? We're ready. It is, the troops out there are hungry, they're ready for it, they've been smelling it all day, and now comes the time when we're actually going to open up the barrel and get ready to start pulling it off to cut it up for everybody. You guys ready? And there it is. The cow in the can. It's a trade secret on how we do this, but you'll find out the results real shortly. And so now comes the fun part. And of course, when you're the cook, you always get to sample, and you get to do the first cuts, and it rolls out, and this is nice and juicy, moist, and done just to perfection.
This cow in the can tastes pretty good.
All right, sir, you ready?
Yeah, so
Ready to go? Rolling. All right, tell me a little bit about where we're at today, and tell me a little bit about your car.
well, we're
in wonderful Austin, Nevada, at the first car show for the spring season in Austin. And we're having a great time. There's some very wonderful cars here. This one is mine. It's a 1957 Studebaker Golden Hawk. It comes standard with a 289 supercharged engine in it. It was the fastest thing of its day. And the few modifications to this are a Borg-Warner transmission with a Hurst shifter and bucket seats. And we're having a great time with it. It's a wonderful day, a little windy, but Austin is a wonderful town. Been coming out here for a lot of years and have always had a great time.
Okay, hi, I'm Shane Cantrell. I'm from Eureka, Nevada. I'm here currently at the Austin Car Show. It's one of the nicest car shows and down home, old town type car shows. There's a lot of nice cars here today. This is my 2008 Dodge Challenger, and I brought this in. I usually show the car. I didn't show it at all last year, but you know, this year I wanted to try to do the circuit again and get the car out. And I made some changes to it and made some improvements to the car. And weather's been okay considering this time of year, and a little windy today, but sun's finally broke out and just having a great time here in Austin. Okay, it's my 2008 Dodge Challenger's numbered car. It's a limited numbered edition. It's the first year that the Challenger came out. It's a 2008. It's number 356 out of 6,400 cars. It's got the 6.1 Hemi in it. It's a 425 horsepower from the factory. I've also included, I've installed a nitrous system in the car. So I roughly am running about 600 horsepower. Besides showing a car, I also like to race it, and some of the car shows still have races. And they do generally the 8th mile, and then some of them are even talking about doing quarter mile. And I just enjoy the car altogether. So
this here is a 1924 Model T. And I'm Joe Dory. I live here in Austin. I'm a local guy. And my uncle had this down in Tucson, and I got it from him in a whole bunch of pieces and parts and boxes, and it just looked like a bunch of scrap metal. And me and my wife just kept taking one piece out of the pile and painting it up, and she'd sand it, and I'd paint it, and we'd find a place to bolt it on. We just kept putting pieces together until we had a car. It's really kind of unique. I don't know if you can see these pedals down here. It's really unique. This right pedal right here, that's a brake. The left one my foot's on, as long as you hold it down all the time, you're in first gear. If you let it up, if you have this throttle, this handbrake in the middle position, and you let that thing out to the halfway position, now you're in neutral. We're just free coasting. If I take this and go ahead and let this thing on down, that puts us in high gear.
Oh boy.
And boy, we really start hauling ass in. We're in high gear now, boy. But I'm usually too scared to go very far in high gear, so I pull this thing back to halfway position, and then I stomp on that left lever and go back down into low, and we're in business again. See that?
Nice.
So in the old Model T, you gotta, the whole time you're in low gear, you gotta hold that pedal down. So if you take a long trip in low gear, your foot gets kind of tired. This here's the road that we're on, is the road out to Stokes Castle. It's an old landmark here in Austin. Actually, today is the Austin Car Show, which is, it's an awesome car show. A whole bunch of cars show up from Fallon and Reno and Round Mountain and Eureka and Tonopah and Smoky Valley, and we all get together and just have a big old get together. And it's some of them the same cars every year, and some of them we get to see a new one once in a while. And this one I've had running for maybe 5 or 6 years now. The first couple of car shows, it was missing a few fenders, and we were driving around sitting on milk crates and stuff, but it was running, you know. And now we finally got most of the pieces bolted on it, and get it out and drive it around once in a while. These old Model Ts are made for a dirt road like this. They're just, you know, you hit a bump, you think it's really going to hurt and be a big bang, and it just kind of glides across it. That's the old rodeo grounds. This is Reese River Valley out here, you see out here. And this is coming up, you can see the Stokes Castle out here. That building was owned by the guy that owned the railroad here in Austin back in the early days, in the 1800s. And he was a rich guy from back east, and he owned the railroad, and he built that house as a summer cabin.
And history says he never spent a night in it. He never even came here. He just owned it and never did get out here to Austin to see what he had. When I was a kid, it had all the floors in it and everything. We used to climb up there and kick rocks off the top. You can see a few rocks are kind of missing, and so they finally took all the stairs and floors out of it so us kids couldn't tear it all to hell. I wasn't born here in Austin. I was born in Reno, but my dad was born right here in Austin, and his dad was born on a ranch just north of Austin, and his mother was born on that same ranch north of Austin here. So I'm the 5th generation here in town. And my son, who's here in town, he's a 6th generation Austinite. Yeah, I had a little gas station in town for a lot of years, and so everybody knows me, and I know everybody in town and everybody in every ranch all the way around. And in Eureka, the next town 70 miles east here, I probably know about 3/4 of the people over there and almost everybody on every ranch around Eureka. My grandmother was the same way when she lived here. She knew everybody like that. She moved to Reno and lived there for a lot of years, and said she'd been there 10 years and she didn't even know the lady that lived 3 houses down from her.
Yeah.
That's the old Stokes Castle. Guy had a pretty good view right here. Used to order a lot of his parts and everything from his manufacturers, and he'd send specifications for what the boxes that the parts came in. They'd come in a certain specification, and he took the boxes apart, and the wood that's in this thing is the boxes that a lot of the parts were shipped in. They got wood wheels, wood spoke wheels, you know, and a lot of that kind of takes little maintenance as they get old. Like my dad, that was as a kid, had an old Model T like this, and he'd take the wheels off and just throw them in a quick creek somewhere and let the wood swell up, and then they'd get nice and tight again. They wouldn't be wobbling so bad and stuff. This one still, the wheels are in pretty good shape. It probably sat in an old barn down in Arizona for a long time. My uncle came across it a few years back as a project, and he bought it and he started on it, kind of putting it together, but it's sort of overwhelming, a whole bunch of boxes and parts and pieces, and so he got overwhelmed and he sold it to me and my wife, and we over a period of about 1.5 years just kept putting it together until we got it running again. The engine actually ran. I put new valves in it, and but the pistons and rings and bottom end and all that's all stock, and it didn't look to me like it had ever been really taken apart before.
What kind of gas mileage you get?
You know, that's a good question. We don't drive it a whole bunch, I bet. It gets about 2 tanks per season. I can probably get in high gear again going downhill now.
Uh-oh.
Rev her up till she starts knocking a little bit. Let off the throttle. Let it out to neutral. Go forward on the emergency brake all the way until you're in high gear. There, we're in high gear now. This is the throttle on the column here. And then this is the spark advance right here. It's got a manual spark advance and a hand throttle. One guy wrecked a Model T right here. Billy Gibbons' dad, he died right there in an old Model T. Went off that hill years ago, before I was a kid. Now I pulled this back to halfway, so that means I'm in neutral. I'm just kind of coasting right now. And as I get up here and start going up the hill, I'll just push in on the low pedal till now I'm in low gear again, and we'll just start up the hill. All right, well, we're entered in this Austin car show. I got to use this unique Model T horn here. Anyway, but we're entered in this Austin car show, and we've been in it for about 5 or 6 years in a row, and this thing's pretty rough. If you get to looking at it real close, we've never really won any big events or anything. I don't expect we'll do any better this year, but it's just fun, something to get into, and every year I can't wait until they have it every year, and get it out, put around, blow the horn, wave at everybody, and it takes you, it's like stepping back in time a few years to me, and you can't hardly get in this thing without grinning. Ow! you got to remember, this goes back to the days that most people, my grandmother, you know, she talks about, everywhere they went was in a horse and buggy, so this was just a big step up. You could go a lot faster and your horse didn't get tired. Cruising low gear, we're just cruising Main Street, Austin Car Show, but you know, I guess I got to be honest with you guys, this is not my real hair. This hat came from China, but you know, I like it because instead of washing my hair, I can just throw this thing in the washing machine and I'm good to go. This hat's kind of neat because, you know, you can 20 years younger, 20 years older, 20 years younger, 20 years older.